Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Welcome back to the Shadow Show. And welcome back for another Saturday night sci-fi Shadow Chat. This one's going to be kind of heavy. I know there's some detractors out there and some people with thoughts, feelings, and opinions, and trust me, we'll get to those. But, it's October, and we tend to like to spook ourselves and scare ourselves, and I could not help but ponder the scariest, the ugliest, the most despicable, horrible thing I could think of during this time, and that being slavery, prisoners. The freedom part is none of the above, but it is actually the innate desire of all living things, at least in my opinion. Maybe some of the smaller critters don't understand such concepts, but I've never met a living creature that doesn't desire freedom in all of its majesty, terror, and consequences. So tonight we're going to talk about the three subjects, from Yvonne Craig's classic Orion character in Star Trek. Heck, even Conan had to deal with it, to every person in the classic movie Logan's Run, all the way up to as recent as the Star Wars franchise touched on it in several different ways. And I'm kind of tempted to talk a lot about it in Dungeons and Dragons and in fantasy role-playing games, because I'm certain that's probably where most of you role players come from. But in science fiction, I think the same principles can be applied. So right off the bat, I got Omen. Sorry for that long-winded intro, but I had to get that off my chest. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. I've been trying to go through our my challenge that I gave you for the ideal party, and I put up the first list for that with
Awesome.
Really low stats, which to be honest, sometimes doing this for myself also makes me realize there are different things out there, which is, oh my God, it's hard to get anything. And you begin to go, well, do I want a multi-class here, and what do I want for this, and what do I want for that? So, but I'm talking more sci-fi here. How could you forget John Carter of Mars with tons of slavery all in there?
You're absolutely right, and absolutely, actually, as everybody knows, one of my favorite sci-fi IP stories of all time. Dungeon Minister, how you doing, sir? Your show was phenomenal today. I met a lot of great new people with great new channels, and I subbed to each and every one of them. And I want to thank them, Dirty Basement Terrain and Dungeon Crawler Level 1. Thank you guys for showing me some cool stuff, and hopefully we'll get to know each other later on down the road. Dungeon Minister, the link's in there if you'd like to pop in. I can't think of a nicer guy to have in the show. Chris, glad to see you. Can't wait to see you and your wife on the show. And here comes our good friend Justin. Welcome to the show, Justin. Been a long day. How about you guys?
It would help if I turn my mic on.
Yeah, usually.
Yeah.
The audience may feel differently, but no.
Yeah. At least I got a picture up there, Mr. White Screen.
Oh, it was classic a minute ago. He had an O inside an O. I thought that was actually pretty clever, or at least the algorithm or the AI was on top of things. Welcome, Mini Warmut. Have I got a challenge for you, buddy?
Oh.
Okay, sorry, Mini Warmut. Come on back whenever you like. Vampire movies are always fun this time of year. I'm a big fan of oh, hey, guess what? Oh my goodness, first time. First time. Wow. How you doing, my friend?
Doing good. How you doing?
Doing great. having
He
a
had to put the
wonderful.
color on before he came on. That was the problem.
Nah,
No.
Nah, it's surgically grafted to his neck. You
Yeah.
can't do
I don't wear anything else,
that.
even in the shower.
Oh, well, that is surgically grafted. It's just, they just screw his head on to the top, and there he goes. No.
You pull this out. That's where I plug in at night.
Oh, yeah. No,
yes, exactly. I gotta say, man, I was forgive me, Father, but I was so jealous. I'm gonna make some of those mushroomy guys because
So cool.
me and dirty basement terrain, we do our shopping at the same place apparently.
Yeah.
Dollar Tree is my home away from home. I've got one right next to a Hobby Lobby, so I'm truly blessed in that respect that I got one-stop shopping. I go boom, boom, and then over to Walmart for some other stuff that they might have, especially like my rattle cans. And I'm like, I've already got the little mushrooms. Just got to find some big mushrooms. And I buy Final Faction stuff like it's going out of style. So I'm ready to go. I'll just make my own. Maybe I can get a little bit different color scheme, although I like the way he did those. And I'm certain they're going to go to a great home. If I could, I would be at this convention. But like I said, when I get there, that onion eating contest, that's all mine, man. I'm a big
Yeah.
So watch out, folks. Just I'll promise I won't breathe on anybody too closely. But then again, after eating like a dozen onions, I'm pretty sure the entire room will just clear out, right?
Well, the prize is going to be it's a little a cup full of breath mints. So
That's classic.
It's too much wintergreen. His head explodes. No, I'm just...
if they're Altoids, that is a strong possibility. Those things are strong. Oh my goodness! I think I burned a permanent hole in the back of my tongue from one of those, and that was just for a couple of minutes.
If Shadow makes it down, you got to replace the breath mints with garlic cloves.
Hey! That's more my speed. Cinnamon and garlic. Those are my.
I swear I am not a vampire. I just play one on TV.
I never see you in the sunshine. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, really? There's actually I did a video just a while ago. I was actually in the sun. It was part of my Put Up or Shut Up series where I was actually out in the bright sunlight and I did not burst into flames.
That's right. You have been out on your deck or something. That's right.
Yes, I do.
Well, he sparkled too much was the problem, and it just couldn't capture his essence.
James Pattison vampire, is he?
That's right. Yeah.
So let's get into it. I'm sure you all saw the title. And I kind of got the impression you don't play a lot of sci-fi, Dungeon Minister.
I play Gamma World every Wednesday night.
Okay, you know what? That's
I'm going to say I don't understand the game at all. The GM tells me what to roll and I roll it. I mean, I make the character decisions, but in terms of mechanics, I've got no.
You know what?
I like playing games that way.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, I think I like players who do that because they actually, instead of trying to min-maxing their choices, actually make organic choices that seem to make sense.
I'd have no idea what to choose.
Gamma World.
Well, you know what? We're talking about that with James L. Let's not forget, what is it? Twilight and it's the not. I'm trying to think of the Traveler with the Imperium, or the same thing with Renegade Legion. There's all sorts of stuff that they have for slavery and slave worlds out there, and how can we forget 40K? I mean, they're all basically slaves in many cases.
So my basic idea is to use the awfulness of it to urge the players to maybe do something about it. Dark Sun was huge on that. I've done it many times. Hey Nathan, how you doing, buddy? To see if the players are just how good they are. They see this injustice, this atrocity going on all around them. Maybe it's a town, maybe it's an entire kingdom, maybe it's even underground in the dungeons or in some other place. Have any of you ever done that in your game, and how did it go?
Well, I mean, of course you try going through some of it. I'm just trying to think of, when we went through, which is always kind of we free them, you find slaves on a ship. And the funny thing is, and the great thing about sci-fi is, hey, your ships are slaves, and we're going to free them. Or, you come in, you're pirates, or privateers, maybe a better phrase. But you come in, you go over, and then you find a bunch of slaves underneath, and you're like, well, we're going to free them, and then they're going to join our crew. And once they join our crew, and you just get a bigger and bigger aspect from that. And so it's not necessarily, everyone wants to talk about this big moral quandary. A lot of times it's just like, hey, that's how we replenish all the guys that died on their last attack. I mean, you free them, they join you up. They're like, yeah, let's go fight against the Empire. And you give them weapons, and they but they're it's Spartacus. That's what it is, basically.
Yeah. You never trust slaves. They're not the most competent.
Actually, see. The problem is, Justin, it's just because no. They're actually, if you look at like the problem is that when people look at stuff, when you look at the Greek and the Romans, many times the slaves are more competent than the people who owned them.
Yeah, that sounds like revisionist history to me.
Oh, really? You might want to go look at some of the scholars that were enslaved.
Not necessarily more competent than the society, but some of the individuals could be pretty useless. You get that far into you get that far into a very, very wealthy society, a very wealthy culture. See also modern North America. And the people who they're so smart they haven't the foggiest idea how to grow lettuce.
Yeah.
Well, they're so smart they can't. People. How many people have no idea how to work on their own car? Partly because the car has become so complicated, and partly because it's someone else. They pay someone to do that, right?
Most people, it's not even the complexity of the thing. It's just what do you mean I can do it myself?
That's the other part. Yeah. I have slaves for that, or I pay my mechanic for that.
Yeah, it's the internalized slave morality.
Well, no. I'm saying if you look at go look at the what is it, the Imperial City with the eunuchs.
Oh, eunuchs.
No, with China. Go look at that.
I know.
They were all slaves when you really look at it, and yet they really controlled everything. And the same thing happened in the Ottoman Empire. There's a lot of history of when you start looking at it is the quote slave in many cases was running things because the person in charge really had no ability to do anything useful. That was the sad thing about it. And that's been going on for, that's like the Dungeon Master mentioned, that's the kind of thing you're looking at. It's the, whether it's Spartacus or anything else. That's why I mention these things, historically is, where are you in, whenever we talk about slavery is, what class of slave are you? Mm-hmm. Are you just an agricultural laborer where they don't need you? Are you at that next tier where you're a craftsman? Are you at that next tier where you are basically the right-hand man, even though you're in slavery? And I've been listening to Jordan Peterson go over Exodus and the Bible, where they talk about people putting themselves in slavery for a certain number of years just to make sure that, hey, look, I don't have enough money to survive. You're going to help, I'm going to work for you. You'll give me enough money. And then after a certain time period, you get out of there, and that's whether you consider that indentured servitude or not, that's people forget that there's a lot of different layers to slavery. And it's not just a simple, oh, they're all on there unwillingly. Some it's like, hey, where do serfs factor into this? Serfs are somewhere in there too. It's, I think that when everyone wants to look at it, is it's all black and white about whatever it is, and like there's a lot of nuance there, and it depends on how much you want to play it. Are you a willing servant, but you're technically a slave? And then some of them are like, what does so and so marry his slave? or are they slaves for, for a certain number of years? Historically, some of the slaves actually farm their labor out. So they're like, look, I put in my 8 hours. You're like, okay, is it okay if I work for so-and-so? And they would get some more money. And gladiators and things like this is, hey, you know what? I get to keep a certain amount of pay. And once I get enough, I can buy myself to freedom, which, when I really look at slavery, I look at more or less, not from the characters trying to free the slaves, but a lot of them come from that background. And that's what's supposed to influence their motivations from this point forward.
Take a breath.
I like that idea. Who better to know how it feels or what it's like, and who would want that freedom for others better than former slaves, whether they be gladiators or runaways or whatever. I really like that idea, Omen.
As the only slave driver on the panel, I'm diametrically
and demonetized.
I don't know. I mean, if you heard some of the comments from my son, you'd probably not be alone there, Justin.
No. I
think we all. I think we all, would never wish that upon anybody. And I look at it as, we're always testing our players for different things, especially when you have good aligned characters, whether it be the paladin, the ranger, various priests or things like that. This is a great way to really test their mettle and see what kind of character they are, what kind of men and women they are. Are they just going to accept it and throw up their hands? There's nothing we can do, or will they, rise to the occasion and maybe start thinking about it, maybe start, talking to people and figure out a way to break the cycle, to put an end to it, as all good folk should at least think about. Maybe you're not capable as an individual, but all it takes is one person to start the ball rolling, and the next thing you know, the world's a better place. And I think most GMs, although I know there's a huge group of people that want to make their worlds ugly and dark and sinister and as difficult as possible and gritty and all that. I know there's still folks out there that are hoping that their players will fix that, or at least be that shining light in the darkness to be their heroes. Because that's, I don't know about you guys, but these games for me have always been about being a hero, whether it's the little hobbit that could, to the big shiny paladin that was born into it, knows their place and knows what they're going to do.
I think that's the point I was trying to get at when we were over on Squirrel Hermit's stream the other day talking about Morkborg. That it's okay to have like a dark and bleak world as long as there's a way to build out of that.
Yeah. If there's an alternative.
Well, even like establishing light, like making the world a better place. If it's only the downward slope, then it's depressing. But if you're at a low place and you have the ability to go up into a better existence, then you have something to work with there.
It's, I guess, comes back to that aspirational versus depressive feeling.
Yeah.
It's like, just because you're in a depressing situation doesn't mean that you can't improve your situation or other situations around them. And that's part of the reason why we all play these role-playing games. If we feel like we can't alter the world and that we can't better our characters, which most of us all like, we want levels, or we want, something to show that our characters are improving. If you don't get any of that, then it's kind of a one-shot, which is fine. Don't get me wrong. There are times that, one-shots, or like I said, some of the stuff in Alien, those are really cool. You get to see it, but you're in that little horror movie and it's short and it's done. It's whenever you start going outside of that, that you want a long campaign. You want the characters to actually develop and move forward, have a story, do something to affect the world. And I guess part of the way I look at things is, as long as the the characters can alter the world, there should always be some kind of hope in there, unless you're just trying to tell, a story of damnation, which is,
Well, yeah, if you're playing Cthulhu, then you just know that it's all ending in madness and death anyway. But that's part of the guilty pleasure of Cthulhu, right?
I'm going to bring up the other part. Is you're forestalling the darkness.
Yeah.
It's not the darkness isn't coming, but you're forestalling it for however long. Like, we played Ye with Ye Old Geek. Guess what happened? Our characters died at the end, but we saved the city of Paris. You know what? To me, that was quite a happy ending, even though we all died.
Even when Ye Old Geek did the multiple choice, the one where what's the Telltale the book game?
Yeah,
where he lets you pick in the chat. The last character won the thing, but every character up until then died.
Yeah.
But it was still enjoyable because you knew that even though your character lost to the dark power, the elder god, you were making it better and easier for the next generation of person going up against it. Right, the next character or whatever. You're building on success or failure.
I'm gonna bring the other part here, and I know Shadow's watched it. Go watch Ben-Hur again to see one aspect of slavery. I mean, it is. Come on, you remember there, Ben-Hur was both a slave and he owned slaves, and look at how he treated his slaves, and that's really. And I'm going to mention this about people as a whole, and this is a great way if you ever go out on a date with someone, seeing how they treat someone as they view as their lesser. That will tell you the kind of character that they are. If they're treating people respectfully and decently, even when they're considered much lower social class or anything else, that's one thing. When you see your classic Karen yelling at some poor kid that's making minimum wage, you're like, that's not the kind of person I want to be around. And that's the same thing applies to the players or the characters. If the characters are screaming at everyone and they're like, yeah, you might want to change your alignment to neutral or evil. It's just not there. I mean, it's the truth.
Well, and not to get all biblical on everybody, but the parable of the forgiven servant, who's forgiven a debt, and he runs into a fellow slave who owes him money and throws the guy in jail until he can pay when he'd just been forgiven. Yeah. It is that sense of, well, why are we forgiving you? Why are we giving your character an out on this?
Go ahead, Justin. Since you're
no.
This is one thing I do, and okay, fine. A lot of people don't like it. I don't like it with this, but I do like. I want to call whether it's fate points or some mechanical thing in the aspect, inspiration, some advantage or something that they can use in the background to say, look, we know that you're hurting yourself for your monetary gain, but there is a divine aspect that favors you just a little bit to work in your favor when the things go bad. That's one of the things I like to do in the games. Is like, look, you're not going to become, especially in D&D, where you can get, if you're going to the old first edition, well, we do everything.
Perfect.
Yeah, but
that was appropriate.
But I mean, but you can get all the money when you steal everything, or you can do the good thing. But by doing the good thing, you know what? I can add a little bit in the background to help you out. Like, guess what? You get an inspiration. You can get an advantage at some role. Things smile a little bit more on, in your way. Not that I have to do a lot of other stuff. And they go, oh, okay. At least they can feel that, hey, sometimes fate does smile upon us just a little bit, and that's the way that I look at it.
Well, the discussion earlier about the grim dark and the hopelessness and the trying to make things better, I think is one of the reasons that Lord of the Rings starts out in the Shire, right? And the movies made sure to do that too. They missed the beat in not doing the scouring, although it was already like 4 hours in on the third movie. So please just let me go pee.
Yeah.
But but that idea of this is what we're fighting for, this is what's lost. And in a grimdark thing, it very much becomes the job of what will you make, because you don't have anything to restore, you don't have anything to protect, you don't have anything to save. All you have is horror and awful and grim and lousy and depressing. So you have to be the source of hope in that, right? You've got to be the one who's going to make what's better, rather than there's something you already have and you're going to go back to it, you're going to return to it, you're going to restore it, any of that.
Yeah.
So it's a different dynamic, but I think an important one, because people do face despair in life. People do face long and hard roads, and the ability to imagine yourself beyond where you are can become extraordinarily important.
Well,
I'm always keen on how the role-playing games actually interact with real life, because they're art forms, right? I mean, they're no less an art form than a novel or a symphony, a painting. So how does it reflect back the world that we have created and the lives that we live? How does it reflect it back to us and provide us a window to another possibility?
I'm going to bring up, because you just put up story, is the typical, the 3-story arc, and you can see it in Star Wars, in the first trilogy, which is like, oh, okay, you get you're new, you're coming out, you get somewhat of a success, then you get a major downfall, which is, the Empire Strikes Back. And then you get the, the redemption aspect where, like, hey, we beat the Emperor at the end, and theoretically everything's happy at the end. Theoretically, of course, we know that doesn't actually occur all the time, but at least gives and I want to say a reprieve from evil for this, and that's part of the, just the storytelling narrative for things. And just like whenever they're talking about slavery, part of it is. And this is one of the things I did like that they did in Dark Sun, is when you read one of the DSR 1 or something of slaves, they go through the whole different things. And then the question starts becoming, well, even if you say that you're in a society with slavery, how are you going to treat them? And how do you do things? And it's interesting historically looking at sometimes where the slaves would save their masters from the mob, and things like that. And then the other question is if you're that character that is the slave, how do you react? And, were you treated well? Are you doing the right thing or not? And those are some, it's all too often to be like, well, we're going to free everything. Well, that's great. But, sometimes these things occurred for a reason. And sometimes they did not, and that again comes down to what kind of society are you living in? And, some people, I hate saying this, don't have the capability to take care of themselves, and by freeing them, and I'm going to use a Dexter's Lab, thing where you freeze all of his robots, perfect things. You freeze all of his robots, and they go out and they're like, freedom, and they go out into the street, and then they get hit by a semi, and you're like, well, did you actually do anything good? You have to.
You know what, Omen? That's a perfect segue into my next question. Do you want to say something, Justin?
I was going to say, well, what if your fictional world, your fantasy world? I know we're supposed to be sci-fi, but
it could be either right now.
Is enslaving orcs, right? And orcs are traditional high fantasy orcs, and then you free them all, and they go do orc things in your society. Well, an orc chained to a plow is kind of not robbing and pillaging and doing much worse things. Like, do you want to free that? Seriously?
Right.
Well, that, I guess that comes back to when I was, arguing a little bit on Shadow's Discord is it better just to kill all the orcs, or to say, hey, look, we'll allow you to survive, but now you're the trodden underclass that you have to atone somehow. And you're like, well, what are you doing there? Is it better to commit the genocide, or is it better to put them into slavery? And you're like, oh, well, thanks for putting me in this hard.
I'll say
aspect.
Slavery is always the worst option, because a couple of generations down the line, someone might free them.
I wanted to ask you guys, because you guys brought up a couple of things I was thinking about. Like, for example, when you've helped free people, I've noticed a lot of times they just sort of, okay, there's the door, good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope you don't get eaten by the rancor or the trolls outside or whatever.
They leave through the NPC exit
Yeah.
where we don't care anymore, right? They're gone. They're off stage.
Would you ever use
your fantasy civilization can magically afford to send them all back?
how does Sean do it? Contrived PC entrance.
Yeah.
Is that-
Yeah, contrived.
Mage's Musings.
Yeah.
Right. And shout out to Sean and Mage's Musings, one of my absolute favorite shows. Would you incorporate the sort of integration and helping of the freed prisoners or slaves as part of the game, or would you just they'll find their way out? We gotta keep going deeper into the complex to get to the big bad who's in charge of everything, or would you make it more realistic and go they barely have any clothes, they probably don't have any food, you might not even know where they are, and they just try to walk out the doors and get machine gunned to death or something like that? Or would you actually go in and make it part of a more realistic situation and try to help them get to safety?
Well, here's what comes down to it, and I hate saying this. It depends on your mission. I hate saying this, but it absolutely comes down to your mission. If your mission is to go down and blow up the Death Star, I don't have time to farm you out and make sure that you get home safely. We have to blow up the Death Star first because that's a greater threat. That's in there.
Yeah.
I hate to say, good luck, Ewoks. Go fight away while we go stop this Death Star.
No. We're gonna take control of the Death Star for a few minutes before blowing it up.
but I mean, there's that
good
one.
lucky walks.
I mean, there's that aspect. The other. I mean, sometimes we have to do this. The other question is, what type of slaves do you have? Do you have generational slaves, or do you have slaves that are which is the way that that's one of the things I like about certain things. When I was joking about, hey, we freed these people from a ship, were they captured in war, and now they've been sent to do hard labor or whatever because it was viewed as better to not kill them, to better put them into slavery at some point. That's the question that comes into that. It's like, well, guess what? We just freed 40 sailors, and really gang pressing was slavery. Is, hey, we just freed them. They're going to join our crew because what else do they have to do? The same thing with the pirates. And I know that Shadow's looking at doing his pirate or his ship based, thing. It's like, oh, okay, well, we freed you. Do you want to join the crew or not?
But you have the gang pressed analogy, but then what crime were they gang pressed for? Like, were they gang pressed for being rapists? Do you want those people part of your crew?
No, sometimes they were. Sometimes it was they were gang pressed for the crime of being out on the street.
Yeah, but
heading to the pub.
I'm just saying,
they drank a little bit too much, and then they found themselves on a ship.
That was famous in Britain, but you could have that guy sitting next to a person who committed a hard crime.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't disagree with you on that. How do you know what their crimes are unless you have a detect evil or something out there? Going through it. I mean, that's you sometimes have to just accept who you get, and then you're going to have to punish them accordingly after the fact. And I'm going to mention something again because I like reading Bloody Spears. It's like, oh, okay, I freed you because you're going to be eaten because you're captured. You're going to be eaten by the cannibals. Are you there because you did something bad? I don't know, but guess what? If we're going to have to take it from this point forward. And the part is really. And I don't want to get too much into this, is how do you treat your criminals represents a lot of how you represent society. Is your goal for criminalization both to protect the public and to rehabilitate them, or is it just purely to exact revenge on people? And there's a very different aspect in there, for your society in that. But
I'm going to have to head out because I've got editing to do and my phone's battery is now down below 10%. So it's going to drop me anyway. but I've got to go edit some videos. It's really been fun talking to you guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm sorry we didn't let you talk enough.
No. Well, love
before you go,
the
is there an email address on your about page on your channel? Because I wanted to ask you a question and tell you a little story, if you don't mind.
Yeah. There is. I think there's a. It's not. You know how social media things work. They don't list the address, but if you click where it says email me, it'll provide the information or something. I think so. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah. If not, throw a comment on just any one of my videos, and I'll get back to you that way.
I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun having you on the show. I hope we get to do this again sometime soon. Say hi to the family, give them all a hug for us, and a noogie or two.
Wait a minute. He has to plug ClericCon, don't you?
Oh yeah, you're right.
I should plug ClericCon. Yeah. If you're anywhere near Toronto at the beginning of November 3rd through 5th, we've got an old school RPG convention starting up. And we got some cool people. Speaking of Mage's Musings, he's going to be there. John from Tale of the Manticore is going to be there, and Daniel from Bandit's Keep, who will be running OD&D and Chainmail.
Oh, wow.
That's going to be quite fun. A Chainmail battle will happen at the end of one of his sessions, so that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. And I'm running games, and my couple of my boys are running games. Some other folks from local here have got some stuff going. It's a lot of Back Me OSE. There's a Mork Borg game. Speaking of hopelessness and desolation.
On the last day, I think. I don't think I'll be able to make it, sadly.
No.
But, if I can move stuff around, I'll try and get down. But
do. Be great to see you. Be great to see you in real life, not just a picture of you that flashes whenever you talk. Or do you do that in life? Is that actually?
Yes, I do. I have a special effect. I have a strip of LEDs that float around my head.
Cool.
He's like that Lego brick in Lego Batman.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for having me, and have a good rest of your night, eh?
Take care.
Castigate somebody for me.
Night.
I don't think he's going to be harsh on any of his parishioners on my behalf.
What's up, Nerd's Nerd? How you doing? Welcome to the show. Did you have anything you wanted to comment before we actually change the subject?
No, slavery is the primary topic. You're muted.
I know how computers work.
Lies.
Hey. No,
yes, but Justin doesn't.
I know how computers work.
I mean, my only strong opinion on slavery, which I think absolutely has a place in games. It's an excellent moral, ethical dilemma. It's great for storytelling. It's great for setting up the villains. I mean, my two favorite fantasy races are Chaos Dwarves and Dark Elves, both massive slavers, right? But the one big thing I have on it is if we're sitting down at a game with slavery, we're keeping it in the game. I don't let them start debating historical arguments for or against. We keep that aside. We play the game.
Wait, there are arguments against?
Just because you wear a ball gag all around and you just call her mistress doesn't mean that everyone's
No. I don't. She does that.
Anyway,
I don't know why she keeps calling me mistress though.
Anyway, so no. The point really comes down to, if you over sanitize things, it feels hollow. For one, and it removes that moral dilemma, the questions that go into it. And then the other question, like I said, it's they're different layers in what occurs. So you're a servant, and then you're released later on. The interesting part is, like I said, I've been listening to way too much Exodus reviews on things where you guys say, your slave has rest and they're not allowed to work on certain days. They have to obey the Sabbath too. It's kind of those interesting things like, but the other question that you start coming into is because we always talk about, human beings, the sentient races. What about the semi-sentient races? And I'm going to mention Traveler 2300, and I forgot what the race is in there. That that caused the big fight. I can't remember if it's not the Sung, it's the other one. It's the ones that the Sung had actually enslaved, and they used that as a justification to pretty much beat the Sung down. I'll have to go look it
See
up.
you soon, James.
Party on. Yeah, like the you get into very fishing grounds. Like I'm morally opposed in real life to the whole concept of uplift for that very reason. I'm of the opinion that if you start seeing scientists talk about uplifting other creatures, you shoot them on sight. Like you sacrifice yourself to kill that motherfucker, because Planet of the Apes is the good outcome of that. Like I just no. We don't need to create a slave race. You know,
yeah. Well, part of me goes whenever you're talking about slavery. You know, whether it's like, look, you're not going to. This is the thing that people forget. If someone's not willing to work, it's a pain in the butt. And then the other problem that you get is that they're not as effective and not as useful. Now, I say that as having a child who I do make, work to do stuff, but that's so
that was my joke earlier about the slaves not being as effective, even though yes, you're right that there were scholars and whatnot that were enslaved, but you don't have slaves being trained to be scholars for the most part. It would take a very rare circumstance of that. Usually the slaves that were scholars before they were enslaved.
Right. Well, and in many cases they actually, how do I want to put this? Because they weren't getting a lot of money, begging on the streets.
They would sell them.
They would sell themselves for a certain number of years to a rich family so they could teach the children. But that's a different kind of aspect.
A lot, but
yeah. So I mean, there's things like that. But then the other question is, but man, it just makes, by removing it, you just listen to everyone talk about it, and it's like we're just going to make the most homogenized, bland thing in there without any kind of, whether people, specifically the D&D in this case, which is a cosmological battle between alignments, whether people realize it or not.
Well,
when you actually look at it,
yes. But there's a point where you're ideologically enslaving people in real life by not allowing them to engage in subject matter discussion, right? Like, if you're too afraid to talk about something because of your race or whatever, you've just made yourself a slave.
But I'm going to mention the favorite, which is what James L. mentioned, is the good old dark elves in 40K that go out to capture slaves. And I'll tell you this much. Boy, you want to talk about the and I know Shadow knows this from Firefly. If you when they talk about the Reavers, and you're like, well, if you're lucky, they'll what was it? They'll kill you, they'll eat you, and then they'll rape you, then they'll eat you, and preferably in that order. That kind of thing. That's the other part that comes down to it is, you can bring in some dark elements.
What's this nerd calling us nerds? He is no fucking right.
So I mean, those are the things that I always looking at how these things go. Is it also creates a, when we're talking about these things, is you want to rescue so and so from the dark elves before they have a chance to experiment on people, and do all these things, and it also creates this truly evil force that the players are going against. It doesn't matter what it is. It's like, you can say the Imperium's bad, but when push comes to shove, you're like, you know what?
It's the only thing striving for light.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, okay, that's what we're going to go for. It's like, we'll worry about the Space Marines that are trying to, kill us after we deal with the Dark Elves, because they're the bigger threat.
Something interesting you mentioned, going to Firefly, which I watched this week. Shadow, I'm caught up now. The
Was it the best, or-
Mutters is it was fantastic, and
Yeah.
it was so much better than I was expecting. But
Glad to
the
hear it.
Mutter planet is what I think is really interesting to this conversation, where they're not technically slaves, but there's no chance of them ever being anything else. They belong to, it's like a company's town, but it's the
Yeah.
entire
Mhm.
planet, right?
Right.
Which I think is super appropriate for sci-fi, where that would just be the way of life. And you can't afford to leave the planet, and one person owns the planet, you're their slave unless they let you go.
Yeah.
And that's the what I would call it, like, and that's the question, is that serfdom, in my opinion. It's like
Well,
yeah, because you're tied to whatever's there, and if, and the thing is that people don't really want to do a lot of history. They're just like, oh, it's too triggering. Don't let me learn.
yeah,
history.
and that's what I meant by like ideological slavery, right?
Well, I know, but I mean, but look at the old company towns
Yeah,
with
which I
that
would
was
consider slavery.
yeah. I
Like,
mean, it's a form, but then that also gives you your uprisings, and that really does create. And to be fair, very similar to the Shadow Run, which is your, I guess, what we call shadow slavery kind of thing, where you're going through. It's like, well, it allows that backdrop of the social unrest that's coming to the fore because of this. It's going to explode, and what are you going to do? And then, just like I was joking about with our Dexter's Lab, but if you're playing Star Wars or something where the droids are out there, you're like,
Mhm.
well, is this fair or not? Even though you're built as servants, do you still, how do you treat your servants? Even if they're kind of happy to do things, but it's like, well, this one got sentience and doesn't want to be part of the group anymore. What do you do with them? All right, actually, and I know that they were talking about this.
Or Data from Star Trek was a good example as well.
well,
The Measure of a Man.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Mutant Mechatron, the one where you're starting to gain sentience, but they're not allowed to know that you're getting sentience because it represents that you're beginning to malfunction. I don't know if any of you have looked at that for Mutant
No.
Mechatron.
I think so. Or no, I might be thinking Mecton.
Yeah. But no, this was the for Mutant Year Zero. Mutant.
No.
Yeah, so that's what we're referring to. But it's the Mutant Mechatron where you're like, well, look, I haven't, I have free will, but I don't want anyone else to know that I have free will, and so you kind of work in the shadows as a robot, because you're not part of the hive mind. That's the other part that comes to it is are you still part of the group if you're not part of the hive mind? And that's kind of an interesting aspect when we want to talk about morality is what do you do then? Because everyone's technically enslaved to the hive mind, but now you're an individual. How do you work in that kind of environment?
Carefully.
I don't know how I would work that as a game. From the very beginning. You know what I mean?
Well, that's Mechatron. That's kind of at the beginning where you have that.
Okay.
And
I was kind of, believe it or not, thinking of the movie Ants.
Yeah, that would be a good example. That would be a perfect example if you want to go organic. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just mentioning Mutant Mechatron because you're talking about robots, and the robots coming in, and then you're starting into these things, and you go, okay, how do you solve this? By gaining, and that's what I'm saying is that starts from the very beginning as the group, and then you start going through it. And those are the things that I think about from there.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting thing to play with.
Yeah, I'm
I would
hoping
have
that
to sit through a campaign and actually think about it in person. But
part of it, this came from reading Dark Sun and the entire situation there, but also from wanting to talk about this for quite a while, to be honest. The other issue that I still can't quite wrap my head around is why I put it in the title, which was Prisoners. In the many instances I've tried to sort of set up the jailbreak situation where the players get taken prisoner, especially after reading a lot of Edgar Rice Burroughs, specifically the Carson Napier of Venus novels, which were a lot of fun, very, very pulpy, not not as good as John Carter, but more or less in that same vein, but with a lot of unique differences, and how I think in one book Carson and or his soon to be wife had been taken prisoner like 3-4 different times in one short 150-page novel, and so many times where the players had been in almost a similar situation, to where they would literally rather have the entire party die than to be taken prisoner. And this wasn't just once, but this was multiple groups of players, multiple parties, multiple times, that they would literally, hey Raven, how you doing?
Mm-hmm.
They would literally rather have their characters die than to lose. I don't understand what they thought they would lose, other than their actual characters' lives, by being taken prisoner, having all their stuff taken away, thrown in chains, thrown in a cell for God knows how long.
So I'm going to bring this up for the Pit of Cthulhu for Conan. The assumption is at the very beginning, and it's just the free RPG day thing. The players are already enslaved in chains, and they're being brought over to a slave. They're going to be sold at the slave trade market, and they're on route with these slavers. When the ship hits a bad storm, and that's what's going on, and one of the other slaves said, who's allowed to move around, she's like a princess or whatever, and she says, "Hey, look, I'll free your chains if you can get me off this ship." And there's your very beginning of your story ready to go. So there's, like you said, is it allows so many great things. The other part is, and of course, you're using fantasy in this case. The other great one, of course, is the is A4, the module, the culmination at the end of A3. And this part that you have is if the players fight to the death, they miss out on that great module of where they have to survive to escape. And I think part of it, and I don't know, it just, you're right for the mentality. And I was always like this too. Why wouldn't I fight to the death? And it's like, well, you wouldn't fight to death because you assume that you're not going to die. And there's always a chance of getting out of there. I think that's part of the problem. So it has to be that trust in the DM and say, hey guys, look, there are going to be chances where you're going to be put in jail. It's just like everything else. All of them are like, oh, well, we're going to fight. And yet, whether it's Conan or John Carter of Mars or anything else, they get caught and thrown in jail all the time. Okay, surrender.
I know, right? And I kind of understand why, if that's how the game starts, but if that's how the game starts where you're in jail, then it kind of eliminates, like, in the player's mind, the chance that it's ever going to happen again. And any good series of books worth their salt, that's going to be kind of a thing. That's how you sort of keep from killing the players. That's how you prevent a total party kill, is by they club you over the head, you wake up in jail, after stuff, not like that's how you start the game, because that trope to me, especially having played Morrowind and Daggerfall and Elder Scrolls and all those games where I think it was Oblivion, that you start in hell as a prisoner, and having played that game multiple times with multiple characters. And I think there's another game that happened in where that's how the game starts. You got to find your way out, and right off the bat, that to me is like the worst, because there actually has to literally be a way out, that or several ways out, but they have to be like baked into the very beginning of the game. Otherwise, okay, after an hour we give up and it's game over.
No, I'm going to bring up the other
way out.
Well, I'm going to bring the other part in there, which is, not that a lot of players do it. Look, sometimes, when you say your character's been in and out of, like the favorite time of when you can go in is like you got drunk again and you ended up in jail. Okay, look, you're going to be in there until you sober up. You're going to be in the stocks for a week or two. After that, they're going to, it's, I think all too often is everyone takes it as, it's going to be instant death, and all too often they do that. It's not like
All
even
death is
James.
instant.
Yeah, well, but I think sometimes, if you look at like Conan, a lot of times, what was the one where he had Thrak? What was he in jail for? And they're like, oh well, you know what? So and so comes to your cell and tells you. I mean, in pulp, it happens all the time, and in some ways, I think this is the
when it comes to prisons in sci-fi, I think the Honor Harrington book by David Weber does it best. She gets captured at the end of one book and doesn't get free until the beginning of the next. The whole book is dealing with escaping from the prison.
But
you actually
sometimes
tell that story instead of walk over it like most authors do, and I think that happens a lot in games as well. You just walk over.
Yeah, well, let's look
but
at.
But if no one wants to play, wake up, do what you're told, go to bed for 300 days before you have a chance to escape. That's not good.
Yeah,
gameplay.
but there's more stuff going on than just that. When you're
there's a famous
there's
a traveler module from the old days. I think it's called Prison Planet or something like that, where there's actually a lot of things going on.
Well, it wasn't Prison Planet in that book series, but
Well, here's the other part: is let's go look at movies. What is it? The Chronicles of Riddick, where he gets put into the jail. You have a lot of aspects. Here's the problem that really comes down to it:
what was that Redford film, The Last Castle? I think it was The Last Castle.
Yeah, it was a good one.
I'm thinking more like that, but with the backdrop of whatever setting.
Well, are you talking? Is that a World War II one?
No,
it's kind of modern.
Redford's character gets sentenced to Leavenworth. And,
no. I was referring to there's one where they actually they had planned on building a small plane to escape from the castle that they were being held in World War II.
Really?
No, it's actually a true story where what the British were doing is they were getting that all planned out. It's kind of cool. I don't think I think they were rescued before then or something. But anyway, there's that one, The Great Escape. I mean, what you have to do is you have to give players.
The Great Escape is
The Great Escape is a lot of fun.
It's a very bad telling of a true story.
Well, it doesn't matter whether it's but the whole point is we play games to have fun. It doesn't. If you're gonna make it realistic, like Nerd said there.
No, it's not about the realism. It's just the guy was Canadian, not American.
Oh yeah, well yeah, but no, I'm saying about the 300 days of you wake up. Well, in some cases, what you do is you kind of fast forward through a lot of that stuff, and you say, okay, what is your plan for doing this? And the plan is what's actually going on how to the escape. You don't do everything. The problem that we have with modern RPGs is everyone wants to play every day of your character's life and not go over.
You know what? I don't know about that because for example, the nautical games I've run in the past, there have been many times they're like, can you speed this up till we get to the thing? We don't care about the shipboard life, that sort of thing.
No. What I'm saying is, hey guys, guess what? You can have a downtime for a month. What are you going to be doing? That's what I'm referring to. And a lot of them don't come into which is where you get the classic pulp stuff, which is, why did you wake up in the thing? And you say, hey guys, what did you plan on doing? And you say, oh, you rolled some dice. Guess what? You failed. You ended up in jail because of X. You know what? You were caught jumping out of the nobleman's daughter's window, and now you're in jail.
Yeah, that's how I'm getting locked in prison.
I mean, you can have a lot of this fun stuff in there. You create the backstory without them having to do all the rolls and dice and failure. It's like, okay, look, you had some bad luck. Now we're going to start you off in X. And the same thing applies in space. It's I think the problem, I'm talking to like my friend, I use him as my normie example for stuff because he plays like how
I use you as my normie example of stuff.
Oh my God. I hope not. But what I'm trying to say is I listen to him talk about all of his games and literally they are almost playing every day instead of saying, guess what? You know what? You're going to spend 3 months doing kind of nothing. All of you can go off, what is your normal day-to-day routine? What is your big thing that you plan on doing over the next season? And you just say, okay, you can come back in the season. But instead, it is everything's frenetic. They don't even have the downtime, decency like they did in Return of the Jedi, of saying, hey, look, it's been like 6 months since we last saw Han Solo. Which, speaking of which, there's a perfect jailbreak.
Mhm.
And they're all captured too. They're all captured. And okay, well, what are they going to do? Well, you're going to go to the Sarlacc pit. All right. Okay, that's where our big escape is going to happen.
It's a classic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little silly at times, but that almost marks the end of where the movie is good. I have to say.
Oh, the music's awesome. It's right up,
Bah humbug.
Yeah, I know. He's going through this, but that's the whole point of this. Is like, how long are they having these downtimes to train and learn? And in the old D&D, it was, hey, look, your character's gone for a month for training. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. That character's gone. You better go play another character for a month, unless you don't want to do anything. It's that. And people forget about that nowadays. Like I said, my normie friend who runs the games, it's like they play from first to 15th level, and they play every day of their. If there's downtime, it's less than a week. It's not like there's a big season or a big gap. And to be fair, that was probably the problem that, when you look at Palladium, boy, if you have a big gap for a juicer, that juicer will die, in probably several sessions, which really makes that life have, that lifespan really means something to them. And, I think that's part of the problem that we've been having and when I say modern games, what I mean by that is that the modern mentality of not having long downtimes that makes sense. Even if you go on your big, let's say your big adventures in your real life, how often do you guys actually go to do on a big vacation, for number one? Or even for the military, a lot of times when they get deployed, okay, guess what? You're deployed for 6 to 12 months, and then you probably have 2 years of downtime. And that's not something that a lot of people think about. It's, when we talk about a campaign, the campaign may run for a bit, but you shouldn't be getting really high levels. Once you finish off the adventurous campaign, then guess what? You should probably take 6 to 12 months off and then say, okay, you come back after that. And I think that's to spread things out. And then that encourages it. It's like, okay, guess what? You're back in slavery. What did you do this time? He's like, well, I was part of the chain gang for whatever. It's like, okay. Or the other part is like you're talking about, which is you've been captured. Okay, guess what? You've been in jail for 6 months, but guess what? Tell me what you've been doing during that 6 months to plan your escape. And now we're going to fast forward to that escape time.
Because depending on the civilization that imprisoned you, you might be trained during incarceration, even if it's just digging ditches.
Not only that, but what they always say about
skill.
Being in jail, it just makes you a better criminal. If you're the rogue, your certain skills are gonna get better. You're gonna learn things. You're gonna talk with the fellow inmates and trade stories.
Maybe.
Making connections.
Well, the connections are good. The other one is, come on, we all know about the crazy old space pirate that was captured, but they never found his gold. And he, before he's going to die, he's going to tell you where it is. Well, let's talk about going through another one. What was the Star Wars? What was the Star Wars where they're put on a planet to work the mines? They have to forget how to escape from that. I mean, we have so many escape stories from this but I mean, that's basically slavery when you look at it. You're not getting paid to go over here because they captured you.
Get some bitching ink done. Yeah. There's going to be that, because depending on your profession or your career or what have you, you could maybe pick up a skill or two, making a shiv, moving silently or even some sort of hide in plain sight kind of skill to avoid certain gangs within the within the penal system or something like that, I could see that there would be some opportunities, or maybe even depending on the technology of the planet, there may be some re-education kind of thing involved where you'd have
that's
to
why I
like
said there
try
might
to
be training.
resist the brainwashing or things like that could be pretty scary, or
Hey.
they could learn some sort of acting skills to pretend like they're going along with the re-education, or maybe
If
the
nothing
ability
else, you're learning
to-
street smarts and slaying and how things run.
Yeah. A negotiation, perception. But here's the other part: is all you're doing is mentioning, going back to sci-fi. Is let's not forget about Flash Gordon. Right there with what was the guy's name? Dr. Zarkov or whatever.
I don't know. The only one I ever liked was Flesh Gordon.
Well, you know what?
Every time Flash Gordon comes up, I gotta do that.
Well, but I'm saying, and they have their own slaves that go wander around. That are it's that kind of thing in there. It's not like you just get fired from Ming's palace. If you get fired, it's usually out of some kind of cannon into something really bad. Those are there's.
You get fired out of a cannon into a hatch door full of hounds.
Yeah, exactly. But those are the things.
Welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
Yeah.
But so that's what's going there. Yeah, Alien 3, all these things that are penal planets. Those are all great aspects that are in there. And the same thing of how many times have everything that we're mentioning is great escapes. Oh, you're going to be put in there and die. Well, how come they didn't do this? Well, the princess liked you and she wanted to keep you alive. That's that kind of thing.
I got a quick question before I forget. Do you think, with my issue earlier with the players, death first, you think it's an ego thing, that they just don't want to ever lose? Or do you think it's a fear of losing the material possessions?
It's a lack of trust. It's a lack of trust is why I'm going to do. Because I'm going to say this from a player that would always fight to the death. It's the lack of trust in what you think that the DM's going to do. If you have faith that the DM is going to make it a pulp aspect, that's fine. What the players don't want and it's the loss of agency that gets the players really going to fight. You're right.
Well,
in D&D, items matter, but this is the funny thing, I think, is when you're doing a sci-fi game, usually the items matter less because the players feel that they can get them back very easily.
I see that argument with like everybody's games but mine, because I do actually know that my players like stuff, and I've thrown in the equivalent of not necessarily magic items, but sometimes strange technologies or even out and around magic items or other things, personalized, it's your father's sword or your father's ray gun.
I don't know, man, because like when I listen to you talk about it, it's one of the things that puts me off playing with you the most is the sense that I'm just going to be appeased with trinkets instead of story or adventure.
No, it's
well, it's the way you talk about it sometimes.
Not everyone gets off on killing their players as much as you, Justin.
Yeah, I'm a material guy, Justin.
If your character isn't dead, you aren't playing properly.
Okay, I'm going to bring up something which is a little bit different.
No.
Is a lot of us get tied to certain items, but one is generally
I mean, look at
sci-fi.
Luke in his saber. If it weren't for the fact that he could literally make one, you know what I mean? Which I don't know how many GMs would ever let outside of like a Star Wars game let their PCs literally make something that cool from scratch, just in between cutscenes type of thing.
Why wouldn't they? Is my question. The problem that I have with a lot of this.
If you have the skill, you should be able to do it.
Well, there's a huge difference between having the ability to use the thing and make the thing. And a lot of times my players don't actually go into the right.
Those are two different skills.
But I'm going to bring the other part is the lightsaber matters more for the skill aspect. Everyone's like, oh, it's super cool. well, I don't know about you, but I kind of like the blaster, and the blaster probably killed a lot more initially because I don't want to have to get hand to hand.
Yeah.
That there's that
Absolutely.
aspect, but the other part is, there's sentimental, but this is why I said for sci-fi it's not as important in most cases,
Mhm.
where versus D&D, and I'm going to bring it because sci-fi tends to rely on a skill based aspect. So like now I use the
Oh,
example of like when I played Star Frontiers, guess what? A laser pistol was just a laser pistol.
Mhm.
If I
Yeah.
lost a laser pistol, I could find another one. It's just
Yeah.
like it's just like going into combat with an AR-15. I can lose my AR-15 because they're all around if I need them. But don't get me wrong, I still want my AR-15 if possible, but
Because
it's
you're
not.
familiar with its
Right. I mean,
eccentric system. Piece.
it doesn't even have to be a weapon. It could be something as mundane as, a photograph.
Yeah.
That's irreplaceable. There are
Well,
material
thanks,
items.
Terminator.
Uh, there are material possessions we have that we
that
might
aren't commercial properties.
that go you'd go to hell and back to retrieve it because it is literally whatever it is has that emotional tie to you because of its
It's like that beep in your background. You're emotionally tied to it, right?
that's actually coming from another room. One of these days I'll show
You
you.
gotta get that thing fixed, man.
Dude, it's not about batteries. It's I don't know what it is with the system. I changed every single battery in every single smoke alarm in the house.
Maybe
And they
the
still go up.
wires it's plugged in, right?
You
Like,
missed one.
yeah.
No.
Well. Here's what happens. He doesn't realize that his son years ago took an extra one and put it up in the attic somewhere, and it's just beeping from that. No, but so it's he doesn't know where that one is. Sorry, that was from an old Modern Family episode. But no. Whenever what I'm going to bring up a little bit differently, and I hate saying this, is yes, we all have things, but as much as I get tied to certain parts, if I have to lug crap around at a certain point, you know what the most important thing is in a sci-fi group's aspect is their ship. The ship is what matters to them more than their equipment, and so
and that could easily be that thing for that particular individual. But there are countless stories of people having that one little thing. Maybe it's to simplify things, but
and burn it up
that
in
really
the fire,
shows you.
and they burn up in the fire because they want to run in for it. Like, dude, it's not worth your life. Okay, I know.
Well, no, I'm talking about something they keep on them. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Wherever they go, they're famous for this, or in those quiet moments that the camera will show you, the character, looking at or reading or whatever, that thing that shows you like deep inside the character, maybe their motivation or their hidden trauma or something that they use to try to let you know a little bit more about the character,
trinkets,
whatever. Right. Yeah, sure.
Like I say,
materialistic
something like that.
It's up to the players to decide on what's that, and some people, that's what comes into it. But yeah, to me, the whole thing in there is but the players I noticed in sci-fi are not generally as tied to their equipment because their equipment doesn't matter as much.
Like an epic sword is a handcrafted, unique artisan thing, where that last pistol is mass produced in a factory that used to be a banana field or some bullshit like that.
Well, I'm going to bring this up as even then at that point, the assumption is that you can always go back and get it at a certain
you can go to the
right. That's where the trust comes in. I mean, how many times have you actually been in the situation where all your gear was just conveniently in this one room, during the prison break, in video games, etc. I can't tell you how many times I've literally found that exact situation, video games, RPGs where, we got taken prisoner and we just had to, worm our way through the rooms and finally you come to the room where
I think that's a byproduct of contemporary Western prison systems, because when you get out of prison, they hand you a box full of your crap that you had on you when you were arrested or whatever.
Minus the weapons and drugs and
Yeah, that obviously, right? But
evidence.
in you wouldn't necessarily have that in any other context besides our contemporary political one, right?
Well, no,
Well,
I
well,
think
well, I'm gonna.
it's a matter of timing. You know, after like a day or two, yeah, it's gone. You know, it's been shipped to the home world or the the
or just the local landfill.
Yeah, or whatever. You know, you're that stuff's gone. You know,
your fancy loafers and dress shirt were sent to the Goodwill because F you, that's our society.
Well. I mean,
or you know, it's still in the building, and you've got a limited amount of time to make that break and get it. You know, get out and get to it. Otherwise, that will in fact happen.
I'm gonna bring the other parts. While you're doing the jailbreak, you see where their equipment is, and you're like, do I go for freedom or grab my equipment? I don't know about you. The problem really comes down to, and this is the other part, is it depends on scarcity. I hate saying this, whether people like it or not, is, oh, yeah, okay, fine. I have specialty rifles that took like 4 months to build. But guess what? If I have enough money, I can generally replace them. It's and that's the problem that I think that players have with a D&D mentality, is that, oh, well, I get this one item and I can't ever get it back. Whereas, in a sci-fi game, they even if they're not mass produced, they are easily replicated, with the exception of really big items, i.e. your spaceship. But your spaceship is your home.
It's also like, okay, yeah, you're playing like a traveler type game and you have a ship, and you have like this unique rifle you like as your character, but if you lose it in the game, your crew probably bought a case of generic rifles that are sitting in the armory. So maybe you don't get that +3 or whatever the traveler system uses for your shooty weapon, but you do have the basic option with the snap of a finger once you get back to the ship.
Well, even
right?
if you don't, if you can still buy one later, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean, I hate saying
I'm
this, it's just that
assuming
most criminals can buy a new can find a gun very quickly. Yeah, okay, it's not their gold-plated, Saddam Hussein AK-47. I mean that's fine, but
it is like a Korean mass-produced AK. The gang bought a case of. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you can afford to operate a starship, you can afford to buy a case of fucking AK-47s.
Well, what I'm trying to say is, for this is, with the exception of very, very few items, almost everything can be replaced except your mementos, is what I want to call them. Your mementos are different. But
Shadow was saying with the photos, or like a locket, or
However, I'm going to bring this up, is
favorite goofy hat that your mom made you.
Yeah, well, your class ring, the cross you're wearing around your neck. We
all know you. It would be your favorite blow up doll.
Wow.
Flossie the sheep? No,
oh my god, I almost spit take all over my laptop.
It comes in hot pink and
so anyway, I wish that I had gotten Shadow on that, and I always do that sometimes when he's drinking.
That's what I was trying to do.
Wow.
Anyway,
nerd.
But the things that come into there, which is, I'm going to mention this too, and it's like, okay, you're stripped of those items, but it's always interesting and funny, is if hey, look, you find so and so has your ring. Where did you get my ring? And then that creates more stories in the future where they say, I want to reclaim that. It's like, well, what happened?
Oh yeah, can you imagine the player, who sees, one of the guards walking around with his ring, and flaunting it and the whole business, and that moment when the player character gets to,
Yeah.
Well,
what
I'm
it
not
takes
even saying that.
to get
I'm
it
not even
back.
saying the guard. I'm saying the guy that's like 2 or 3 levels above him that got you thrown in with the fat merchant who does have the slave girls and everything around him, and you're like, oh yeah, it's on. That gives you the real satisfaction when you cut him down and then you free the slave girls, and then that's the whole.
He might be like just some colonial governor on some backwater planet, and like there's only one city on the entire planet.
Well, that's but you have to make him. What is the one thing that I think it was Boris Vallejo did one for one of the Gore novels where he has where you can see that there's a guy with a sword looks like he's going to cut off this slave girl's head, and there's this fat merchant sitting on the side on this
why are you cutting off slave girl heads, man? That's a waste of slave girls, man.
That's my whole point. This is why we were talking about slavery. This is what makes you a hero, to save the girl. Isn't that the whole point? I don't know about you, but when I was young, the whole point was to save the girl. Screw the planet. It's always to save it's always to save the princess.
Yeah.
Well, Logans gets blown up. All that matters is that you save your sister.
Well, as we've clearly discovered, for you, it's the latex sheep. But
hey, I'm not the one that went broke buying the sex doll there, Justin.
that was you. That was you.
I didn't go broke.
I went broke going to the brothel and getting various diseases.
Yeah. Why did it look like the slaughterhouse? Now go ahead.
Well, I'm just that big.
Sorry. I expect nerds to sound no, never again. Sorry about the nerds. We'll be good.
Lies.
What's that?
Said I'll survive.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're supposed to jump in, especially when Shadow's on screen, because it's half the fun making him freaking almost spit up his coffee.
I've done that a couple of times for him.
So have I.
The problem is he put the video up there so we know when to do these things. So, but no, I mean, those are the whole, those are the things that, whenever you're talking about it, is especially whenever, well, what was that? What was it? Is it the 2013 Conan movie where they talk about the, for the slaves and unlocking them, and then he makes the guy swallow the key.
Yeah. It's
like, oh, that's not good.
It's not going to be fun coming out.
Yeah, well, it's yeah. So there's that, and actually, when you were talking earlier about the orcs, where that's actually in Forbidden Lands. Now that they're now that they're they were slaves under the elves, and now that they're free, they have a whole different mentality to that too. Those are those are the questions that get into it. And I know we've been all over the place for slavery here.
This is the most on topic we've ever been. So
I don't know.
It's definitely for the record.
And look at you guys.
Yeah.
And I just noticed I'm the only one who's actually been live, other than Father Aaron today.
Well, yes, because everyone wants to see your handsome face there. All you have to do is dye your beard black and your hair black, and then just be that evil guy from Needful Things or something, or from Rick and Morty. Speaking of slavery,
maybe that's what I'll do for Halloween. Maybe I'll do that for Halloween.
Be the guy from Needful Things.
Yeah. Well. Remember Rick and Morty, where he's talking about just isn't that slavery with more steps? About his energy for his car.
The microverse.
Yes.
Microverse. I hate those things. I just do their evil. We had a praying mantis just snuck up on me.
Oh, I love praying mantis. I used to have a pet one.
Those are friends. They kill yellow jackets.
Oh, I think they're really cool looking.
Yellow jackets.
Yeah, this guy hates them for some reason.
Yeah,
they scare me. They scare me. I'm scared.
They're too religious for you.
Well, he fought way too many after Monster Manual 2 came out.
Yeah, they're just creepy. They just look at you like they wish they were, 6 feet tall so they could, cut your head off. They just got that
Yeah.
look.
Well,
See. Well, see, that's the sex doll that Justin bought was the giant praying mantis.
bow, bow, bow. He's trying not to laugh.
he's like, you only have one chance. That's it. After that, she eats
Everybody
your
was
head.
so good, and then you had to leave.
I was well behaved.
No, it was actually it was really weird. I was on Father Aaron's show earlier today and hanging out with him, talking about Claricon and crafts and stuff like that. And 10 of his viewers subscribed to the channel.
Oh, good.
I was like, wow. So
Yeah,
so it was weird,
that's how
I
it
mean, it
works.
was, warm fuzzy, whatever you want to call it. It was pretty cool. And then
Well,
somebody unsubbed. I'm like, phew.
Well, you know what? Sometimes it
That was
automatically
me.
subs you from things. I've been unsubbed from stuff like, why did you unsubscribe me? I actually want to
I was unsubbed from Bo. I was like one of Bo's first subscribers. You know what I mean? I've never missed a show. I literally, I'm always near my device. So when he pops up a video, I'm like the first guy there. It's like, boom, Bo's doing a video. I am going to be there, on it, like, Donkey Kong or whatever, and one day I was like, what the heck, Bo hasn't done a video in a while, and I look and I'm unsubbed, and I'm like, how is that even a thing? How is that even possible?
Well,
So
I
don't
think
take
was
it personal. It could be a bot, or they could have just unsubbed from you. I mean, those are just so. And then sometimes, to be fair, it's like, look, I'm watching way too many shows. I'll just have to. You know what it was? It was all the gatekeepers unsubscribing from you. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 13th
Connell's
Warrior
here.
was a good thing.
What's up, Connell? And what do you call it? It's funny because someone told me that if you don't watch a show for like a long time, that happens. Okay, I can understand that. You don't watch something for a year, but then I went through my list of channels because I've got a crap ton. And I'm like, I haven't watched this guy in like 2 years, but he's still here, or she, or whatever.
There's a guy I'm sub to that hasn't put out something in like a decade, but I'm still sub to the guy. So like I haven't watched it.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it is, and like for example, Crafty Matt, he came to me a while back saying, I had to resub to your channel. I never unsubbed, so I know I haven't talked to Crafty in a long time, which is a shame because he runs a really good game.
Well, just don't take anything personal about subbing and unsubbing.
No,
it's like,
I mean, they're going to go up, they're going to go down, and we're not going anywhere.
I know when I first heard of your channel, Shadow, I subbed to you, and then we hadn't spoken for like a long time, like or ever. And I unsubbed, and then we started speaking together, so I resubbed. But because I was cleaning.
And then there was that whole 666 fiasco where everybody was trying to be the 666 subscriber thing, and
that was just fun and games.
I think it was Mac. Was it you, Mac, who went and said we're going to fix that, and had a bunch of your friends sub to get me over that hump to the point where everybody's like, we're almost done with the show.
Oh.
And nerds, did you see the movie 13th Warrior?
I've tried to watch it. I've never made it through. I don't understand why everyone seems to love it today. It has no plot. It's garbage.
I kind of liked it, but the sad thing is that it's kind of forgettable for me. Just that's what comes down to. Give me Dragon Slayer any day.
I've actually seen it like twice, but I've never. It's okay.
It's slow.
Here's the thing with me and movies.
It has good set pieces. I'll give it that. The acting's okay. It's not good enough for me to finish.
It's a retelling of another story that I can't remember.
It's Beowulf is what it is.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
And I hated Beowulf having to read it, when I was going through college.
I saw that movie with Christopher Lambert on it, or in it, I should say.
Lambert.
And I know it was like really like quasi sci-fi fantasy, but it wasn't awful. But with me in movies, I've got like a really high standard. If a movie, it makes it to my top 10, it's usually like everybody, not just everybody loves it, but it's like it's literally like a blockbuster kind of thing. There's so many movies out there that just aren't that.
Speaking, I was going to say, speaking of prison movies, Christopher Lambert was in a really good set of prison movies called The Prison.
You know what? My favorite movie of all time. You guys are all going to laugh. Those of you who don't know, but it's actually The Watchmen, and The Watchmen has one of the best prison scenes, in any movie.
I couldn't get through The Watchmen, but to be fair, I don't like superheroes. Superheroes.
Well, that's I have a long. Well, I'll shorten it.
Sure.
I wanted to get the comic books. I worked at a comic book shop when it came out. It was the hottest comic book for prior to it in a long, long time. It was just super, super hot, and nobody could get it. I mean, nobody could get it. And even us at the comic book stores, they were already pre-sold out. And I'm like, okay, fine. And years went by, and then the movie came out. I saw the movie, got the trade paperback, and it's still my favorite. And let's bring in this person. What's up, Connell?
Hey, by the way, you're all wrong. 13th Warrior, the movie.
It's okay.
Amazing. You know why? It's fucking quotable. Here's, for example, you're fighting goblins or whatever, right? And you and your buddy are having a good time. And you can say, don't worry, brother, there's more. Or, it's a very quotable movie, and that's what makes movies great. Second, Justin, the Lambert movie is called The
Fortress. Yeah, Fortress. Fortress 2 was better, though.
I've never seen either.
You should watch. Fortress 2 is campier.
Early 80s movies.
Yeah.
Back when,
Well, speaking, because we've gone from slavery to basically prisons, let's not forget Escape from New York.
Escape from New York is better than Escape from LA.
But not better than Fortress.
My whole point is that New York City is the prison. The New York City is the entire prison. That's what's my whole point.
Yeah. No, that was fuck. The way things are.
Not only did I see that movie about 500 times, I read the book probably 20.
And the 13th Warrior was based off the Michael Crichton's book, the
Eaters of the Dead.
Eaters of the Dead, which I went through the book, and it's fucking boring as hell.
Yeah, I'm gonna put this
Michael Crichton book.
I don't think I like any Michael Crichton movies.
I don't know if we can be friends now because Timeline was amazing.
I know we watched it.
I am going to smack you in the back of the head.
Okay, Jurassic Park.
No, I was not a huge fan of Jurassic Park.
It's a spectacle.
Congo,
Jurassic Park is a spectacle.
Andromeda Strain, Westworld.
Westworld was good.
Actually, I like both those movies. I when I think about
Westworld was boobs. It wasn't good. It was boobs.
It barely had any boobs.
The Westworld, the movie.
Are you talking about the movie? Yeah.
Okay. The Westworld, the movie for the time was amazing. I think Westworld, the TV series, was
season one. Season one.
Yeah. You get off the train after season 1.
But no. I hate saying this. Just about every movie Michael Crichton's been involved in had kind of, and I'll be fair. Sometimes I watch movies just for ideas, and I think the 13th Warrior has good ideas.
Well, they all have good ideas.
I just don't. For me, it's not like, oh, I gotta go watch this one. Like, there's so many better movies out there that I'd rather watch.
That's what he was. He was an idea writer, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, he was an actual doctor that got into writing books.
Yeah,
bad books.
Timeline.
What's up, Barman? Welcome to the show.
Was it Timeline? The book was better than the movie, but the movie is an instant classic only because it had Billy Connolly in it, and God, he is one of the best Scottish comedians of all time.
I only remember him
That's-
being in The Hobbit and thinking, I like Billy Connolly for some of the stuff he's in. I just don't like the movies he's in. That's,
Yeah, I try not to get into that sort of hero worship with anybody.
Oh,
You know,
well,
there are,
it's
you
nice.
know,
though.
There's only one guy you should ever hero worship, and he was an Austrian painter.
was that Van Gogh? No.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
What?
I really like Last Samurai, and I watched it not wanting to like it, and I have to admit I actually really did enjoy
Last
it.
Samurai
like
was
the
interesting.
scenery more than I like Tom Cruise's character.
Look. After watching the stuff by Akira Kurosawa and watching it, I was like, yeah, give me Akira Kurosawa any day of the week.
Well, I just saw, was it the third installment of the Denzel Washington movie? Oh God, what was it called? It starts with an
The
E.
Equalizer.
Yeah, and my favorite thing from that movie was
the
the
credits?
scenery.
Oh,
Oh,
Well,
you know
it's
what?
basically. I just want to go to Sicily right now. That's,
Hey! I will say this much: the best thing about Soylent Green is the furniture.
Well, we were talking Lord of the Rings earlier, and you speak of scenery, and it's like I saw that on stage, and the stage was the best thing about the play.
I'm gonna mention this much and you're talking about being captured and losing something, and we're going to talk about Lord of the Rings. How can we forget when they took his armor off of him and they used it against for Aragorn holding it up to show that they had actually captured the ring. That was the implication in the books, was that during that timeline was hey, we have the armor of your halfling. Guess what this means? Your hobbit failed and we have the ring. That was the point of that. So yeah, that was the whole thing of why he's dangling that, and that's what can be used against the characters too. Is let's say that, and I'm not trying to knock it. Sometimes I don't want to put it in a bad way. Sometimes a player says, you know what, I'm getting kind of tired of this character, and a perfect way of doing that is either to put them into slavery or pretend that they're dead or something like that. And you say, hey, look, and then you put them off in the background, and they go, oh my God, that's what happened to Bill. Look, they have his equipment. That's the only, that's his hand engraved, inlaid rifle that has to, look what they've done. And so then it can start them down that path of where they try rescuing him, thinking he was dead before. And that works well for NPCs too.
Yeah.
You know what?
Or like Connell likes to talk about the Coulson, effect, where your compatriot is been killed, and that spurs you on to revenge or justice or whatever you want to call it, and that can be a pivotal moment in a story.
Well, that's Connell.
What happened to Connell? That's weird. Where
he felt the wrath of my hand up against the back of his head.
Okay, there he is. Where the players are now motivated by something, what the heck, Connell? But yeah, I can see that as well, or Boromir or whoever, your one of your bestest buds is been killed. Now you have that, temporary or maybe even permanent effect on your morale that that maybe makes the difference between winning and losing, because emotional damage effect.
Emotional damage.
I love that guy.
I don't do it right, but
Fucking internet.
Hey, Connell, I'm glad that you have gone into landscape versus vertical.
You bring up the Coulson. Actually, when it comes to the prisoners, I'm not going to do slavery because I really had nothing. I mean, I have a few comments on that one, but the whole prisoner one,
yeah, slavery is good. Do more.
I think the best prisoner story I heard that I'd love for somebody to reenact in a campaign is the Christopher Walken's one from not Reservoir Dog, Pulp Fiction. This watch is your dad. He smuggled it up his ass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm going to bring up one other thing, though. The Count of Monte
That's a good
Cristo.
one.
The Count of Monte Cristo is a classical, perfect one to go in. Why they aren't making more of that as a series, to me, that would be a perfect series of, for like a 10-episode miniseries or something, to do the Count of Monte Cristo.
It's one of my favorite all-time stories.
They don't allow that book in prison.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Here's
why.
Here's an
You mean
optimistic
Shawshank Redemption? No, I mean we could all do that.
I'm trying to think. There was this campaign I played years ago, and I'm not making. Well, I am kind of making fun of genre, but not really in this attempt. Where everybody started off as it was very much the guy played like 5 seconds of Skyrim. Is like you're all. The game starts. No one has their shit. You're all, chained to the.
Isn't that how Skyrim starts?
Yeah, that's how the game starts. And he took it. It's like, I want to run a game starting like this. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a long day. He's like, okay, what's everybody playing? I'm playing a Sork. Fuck you. I don't need a book. I don't need items. I can just kill you by wiggling my fingers.
No. Your sorcerer doesn't have any spells. Congratulations.
How does he?
They tie up your fingers.
Well,
this is the only finger that matters. This one right here.
Or they took away your ingredients, or you because you were unconscious for a length of time. Your memory is frazzled. You need your spell book. I'm sure they can come up with some.
No, well, wait.
If you live in a world with magic, they're gonna have ways to suppress it.
Lies.
This up is Connell's a 5e player. He doesn't count whenever he talks about what he would be.
No, hold on. I am a 3.5 player. I am a Pathfinder player. I'm playing Fantasy Warhammer.
Things, except for the last one.
Yeah, Fantasy Warhammer, which is fucking whacked. Oh my god.
We're doing that, but then the other one is come on, Connell. You watched the movie, and they put the little thing on. They put the manacles on so they couldn't cast spells.
Actually, I didn't mind. I know which movie you're talking about, but as a deterrent, depends on the system. There already has been made. There's been things made that are anti-magic, manacles. I've seen them for years. I mean, there's ways to suppress somebody's magic.
Just like psionics.
Yeah.
Take a deep breath.
And 5e for the most part, except for keeping my electricity on, can take a walk off a bridge with Dan. So fucking tired of their fucking nonsense.
Oh, I don't even care.
Paizo's worse. Paizo is worse.
Oh, speaking of which, did you hear Paizo's going to be raising the cost of their hardcover books to $80?
That's all right. I'll throw on my pirate hat.
Fire, matey.
You know what? These are the things. We're going to talk about this, and I'm going to say this. I've been reading
that up into a series. Sorry,
I've been reading the Star Wars RPG, which I was kind of turned off. When I first looked at it, but the more I read into it, the more I kind of like it. But there you go. We're going back to sci-fi again instead of just purely fantasy. But but come on, Star Trek had had this where they escape. There's been a lot of different movies in there, and it should be. Let's not forget Babylon 5 with Jakar when they capture him and how they use him.
Oh wow!
I have literally tried to get through season 1 of Babylon 5.
Oh, just skip through the.
I can't. You don't understand. I'm a completionist. If I start something, it's from episode 1 to episode done.
What episode are you on there, Connell?
They just changed out the doctors. It went from an old guy to a new guy, a younger guy.
So the second episode?
No.
Yes. No, it's like the third or fourth.
Oh, you're the third or fourth? Okay, I thought that you had been. I thought you were in like episode 14 or something.
No,
I thought you made it up to the Inquisition, or the episode with Jack the Ripper. I thought that was
think that's
first.
season
we were
2, bro.
playing Babylon 5, the combat simulator game with the ships and the dice, and the guy had it in the background. It was like seasons whatsoever. I look up, what's her name? With the bone crown thing was getting tortured by this guy. You find out that's Jack the Ripper. I'm like, fuck you and lazy writing.
Yeah. No.
It actually kind of.
It plays in later on in the series.
Yeah.
Anytime you bring Jack the Ripper into your TV series, you're jumping the fucking shark. It's lazy fucking writing.
Don't get me wrong. Michael J. Straczynski is a lazy writer who is full of himself. He is a bad writer.
By the time that
with
he got
one
to
good
season
hook.
2, no, I like Michael Straczynski for what he did for Babylon 5. What amazed me is that no one actually would open up his notes to see what was going on.
Yeah, and
Warner Brothers got way too involved in determining what was there.
Yeah, I know, because that's yes, they did get involved, but no more than any other show. There's a lot of stuff that is part of his normal writing that is just really, really bad.
I'm just
not for the time though. Not for the late 90s. It was good for the late 90s, but generally as writing, it is bad.
I mean, I'm not going to condemn the entire show. I got too many people that I enjoy their company that go on and on about the beauty of Babylon 5.
Hey. Our point was that you have to get through season 1 and then you get to the good episodes. You have to suffer through it.
I'm going to do a fundraiser, get Connell drunk so he can get past season 1.
You know what you could do, because I guarantee, maybe skip to season 2, episode 1, okay, and then when you get to the end, you'll be like, oh crap, now I actually want to watch it, and maybe if you do that, when you finally go back to season 1 and watch the whole series again, you'll understand. Season 1 was,
No. He has to watch season 1 for Zathras. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense in season.
I know. There are parts in season 1 that seeds that are planted in season 1 that bloom later on in the series. I get it.
If you have a way to watch it at like 175 speed or something like that.
I think it's fun.
Did you just read the synopsis for season 1 and then start on season 2?
No. He has to get Zathras. Well, no. He has to get Zathras, but I don't remember what episode that is. But there's
it will mention Zathras in the episode notes. Just watch that episode.
I'm not even. I mean, when it comes to sci-fi shows, I mean, everybody, at least in the chat, except for the young lady, has heard my opinion on Star Wars. It's just different movies about daddy issues. Then you get to Star Trek, which is commie in space.
No. Star Trek is not communism in space. It's
Star Trek just sucks. I hate
it's
saying
not communism in space.
No, because
Star
well,
Trek,
I guess because they do force the Federation on everyone.
I mean,
hey, that's called NATO. I just wanted to clarify
NATO is a hate group.
NATO in space. That's what it is. It's NATO in space. They try to expand everything.
And the other thing that killed me about Next Generation was the intro was a lie. To boldly go where no one's ever gone before is bullshit. They went from port to port to port to port. There was no new discovery. Voyager. As much as people want to shit on Voyager was actually about discovery. Enterprise was about
Voyager was about time travel and the holodeck and nothing else. Anytime I watch,
we established this already. Voyager after season 2 is about boobs in tight out.
7 of 9. Yeah, Jerry Ryan. Ooh. Anyways,
go ahead, Connell. And then
Deep Space Nine at least gives us the opportunity. Hey, there is a warp. There is a black hole that opens up that has its own little gods in it, but we can go to a different side of space. That was still more discovery than by God, I am the captain of the USS Enterprise. And I love Patrick Stewart. I love most of the shit he's done. I enjoyed him as Professor X, even though I hated those movies. It wasn't the season 1 and 2 are just not worth watching until Worf starts growing out his hair. When Worf starts growing out the hair, the show kind of gets better.
You know what? Once they got rid of Denise Crosby, it improved.
And Q. Q is the other reason to watch the show.
You didn't like Denise Crosby?
Q was like the only reason I liked the show.
Denise Crosby
Literally.
died at the end of season 1 because she thought that she could become a movie star, and her career just disappeared after that.
She came back as a freaking clone that was half Romnan or something like that.
Yep. In DS9 for stuff. It was funny because now you're begging for bits and pieces, whereas you could have made a bunch of movies. You know what? If you don't watch Star Trek, here's my suggestion: skip all of Star Trek. Instead, watch Galaxy Quest. And you'll have a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Wait. She was shirtless in 48 hours?
What's that?
I might watch this movie now.
Galaxy Quest? You haven't watched Galaxy Quest?
I love Galaxy Quest.
48 hours.
48 hours.
I wish they had made a Galaxy Quest every like 2 or 3 years. Imagine there had been
The
five
best special
sequels to that
effects
show.
were the fact that they gave Sigourney Weaver cleavage.
No, she just got old, man.
I love that Alan Rickman kept that the little hood thing on. They never fixed it. As the movie was going on, you started to see it falling off more and more. It was amazing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be argumentative. I really not. I wanted to jump on here.
What are
Just
you
say
being argued?
you're all wrong. You were all wrong about the 13th Warrior. You know, only thing that would make that movie better if Danny Vito was in it. I'll just say that for Jack.
Danny DeVito. Imagine Danny DeVito in the 13th Warrior. Like they find the.
So it would be the 13th and a half warrior?
No. He's not one of the good guys. He's one of the bad guys.
No. He's the mother eating all of the people.
Yeah, he's in the cave,
or at least the mother's like handsome.
He's kind of dressed up like he was in Batman as a penguin. He's all greasy. You get the Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Danny DeVito, where he's naked hiding in a couch for hours version of him. It would be amazing.
Logan's Run is a classic. Before we get going, because I have to leave in a bit, there were 3 aspects to the title of the show, and it'd be remiss if we didn't talk about freedom.
It's not real. Freedom is a lie.
I don't know if anybody's ever equated this or noticed, but the adventurer seems to me to be the ultimate individual in society that values freedom above all others.
I listen to you speak, and it seems like you want to be a slave of his trinkets.
I am a material guy. I do like my stuff. I worked very
You're
hard.
a material girl.
I was waiting for that. Yeah. I got
in a material world.
I've worked very hard to get where I'm at, and I have worked very hard to get what I have.
Just like Madonna on your back.
Oh, hey.
The characters. Well, that's the whole point of why we play role-playing games is because players have freedom, but they have no obligations in most cases.
God, I can't remember who said it, but freedom is a false dream. It is a drug.
Oh, yeah. It is a chain that you can be enslaved by.
Yeah.
Mac, that was good.
Well, no. I mean, but spaceships are the ultimate freedom. That's well, I see what you do, but anyway, speaking of now robots that no longer look human, we'll digress from Madonna here. But
we're talking about Madonna again.
Oh God, have you seen her?
We're moving on.
Yeah. Anyway, the whole thing is, but that's the whole reason why the spaceship means so much. That's why Farscape and Enterprise. When I say Enterprise,
Firefly.
Well, yeah, but
the
No,
Firefly
was not free. Fox killed them.
Yeah.
No,
sadly.
well, no, but I mean, well, then they brought him back as Serenity. But anyway, the whole thing that I was looking at is the ship means so much, and when the ship gets destroyed, it's like losing a major character, and it's the same way that it should be. And in fact, if you do a game very well, it's one of the things I like about Traveler, is when you have quirks with the ship, and the
Oh, absolutely.
and you know whether it's the
I think-
Millennium Falcon or the whatever quirk is in there. What always bothered me is they always made the Millennium Falcon like, oh, it's this great ship. You know what? The Millennium Falcon was actually a lot cooler when it was kind of the jury-rigged piece of crap that it was intended to be in the original Star Wars. Instead of trying to be, oh, it's the no, it was a jury-rigged hot rod that
They got lucky once. They got lucky once, right?
Yeah.
The-
There was a base model that had been modified so many times by so many people that you know, that's why I hate the way it's represented in the prequel.
yes.
Because it looks like a new ship off the line instead of something that Lando
Could be
had no
hundreds of years
problem.
old.
Well,
it-
maybe not that much, but like at
But
least
yeah, you get my
70 or
point.
80.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
well,
The Falcon was a rusted out Pinto with a Turbo 460 dropped in it.
yes,
Yeah.
or yeah, exactly. You're like,
and a
Way
few
to get
hidden
the nerds.
compartments, and
You know, I don't
And
know
the fuzzy
who
dice.
he is, but I
And the
just want
fuzzy
to give it a
dice.
high five for that statement. And speaking of baseball, baseball is only a baseball as long as it has a pin in it and it can go into outer space. Anything other than that is not what's being called a baseball.
yeah. Real Men is a great film. It's one of the best ever made. Anyone who
Wow,
has a
Justin.
problem with that can fight
See,
me.
that's
bro.
why you get to keep coming back, Justin. It's comments
Now
like
let
that.
me go get my glass of water.
Well, if you want to talk about freedom when it comes to like sci-fi stuff or even in fantasy, it's a very interesting concept. Where are you doing this for freedom? Okay, were you told to do this? Yeah, but it's for freedom. Who told you to do this? The guy who owns my land because he's my king. Or
no. See, that isn't what it goes on. If you actually look at a lot of it, look at where the characters are. They are at the precipice between civilization and chaos. You know, the keep on the borderlands is so classic, exactly for the reason the edge. Well, even when you talk about, look at Star Wars, the one of the systems is called Edge of the Empire. And why is that there? Because you're at the very cutting edge. The same thing with like Rogue Trader. You were going off into the unknown to make your fame and fortune without all of the bureaucratic red tape that's out there, and that represents the freedom. But with that freedom comes in danger, which is what separates you from everyone else. You know, when we talk about slavery and freedom, you know, you are not shackled to everything there. You're not, the things that tie you down is not what ties down the players. It's not until, even for D&D, it's not until you build that stronghold that you really are tied down to where you are.
Right.
Once
The
you go to
whole
domain
sense
play.
of wanderlust, I think, should for the most part be in the actual heart of many adventurers. They that's why they do what they do, is they want to go and explore, see new places, do new things. Otherwise they wouldn't be the adventurers.
But,
they'd be
like,
content to live in the town, the city, the skyscraper, whatever, and do the regular day-to-day things. Wouldn't you think?
That social dynamic doesn't work for every type of game, though. Like I
No.
was trying to get through to you that type of dynamic does not work for Dark Sun in the world. If you
Sure
want
it
to
does.
fight into it. It can, but like if you want something establishing light and joy like Shadow likes, you've got to forego the wanderlust.
No. I'm going to bring a little
you
bit.
can't
I'm going to
build
a different aspect, which is it's the same thing that happens with the Amish. Is you leave your nice little thing and you go off into your whatever the
Rumspringer.
Rumspring.
Yeah. So you do your Rumspring as the characters, and once you have gotten that wanderlust out of your system, you come back and you build something, which is your domain level play at 9th level or whatever else. But that's the whole point of why it's fun initially, is to make that success and then to build something up after the fact. I don't want to have to go through that's what I think makes the
And believe it or not everybody comes back from that. There are
Yeah,
people
exactly.
who do not come back. They decide they do have that continuing desire to see more and more and more, and they'll stay in touch with their folks, through snail mail, but they don't necessarily come back to become
You have a
part of that.
groundskeeper behind you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
but for the characters,
Oh,
but-
Justin.
wait. But he looks
But
like
what
a
does
fine
freedom-
butler. I'm just. But the part that comes into it when you look at it is when we say that they don't come back. Those characters don't come back because they want to stay out in the edge of the universe. They don't come back because they die.
Yeah.
What does I mean in campaign? I'm not talking about real life, but in
Yeah, yeah,
campaign,
campaign.
what does freedom look like? What would freedom look like? Not being tied down to anything, being able to go wherever you want.
Passe version of freedom, though.
Well,
Freedom has been misinterpreted by people in modern society in a disgusting and despicable way. People
Yeah.
have perceived freedom to be just the ability to pursue your own preferred method of self-destruction, and that is not at all what anybody thought freedom should be. Before, people thought that freedom should just be like the ability to pursue virtue unrestrained, because it was thought by most people that
Yeah.
the sin
You
was
would have had a really
Take a
hard
deep breath.
time.
Take a deep
No.
breath.
See, Jack,
Yeah.
you're
God, I love the internet.
Yeah,
You can't
bro.
find
I
this
know.
by
Bro.
yourself. You're not free.
well.
Yeah.
Here's the reality. Most of those people that are the adventurer mindset are your frontiersmen that are trying to escape as much as possible from any of that stuff. And
Yeah.
a lot of them
From
died
the
and
gluttony,
starved
yeah.
because of that. I mean, that's what it
If not
really
most
comes
of
down
them.
to.
Historically, the Pilgrims came to America to get a way to find freedom, only to come over here and ban Christmas. That's not freedom.
Well, no.
That's
because the
not-
Pilgrims had a
the Pilgrims are
Nevada-
dead. Blaming them for something that happened in the past doesn't make any sense.
But when you using topics or constructs from a era that no longer exists, because we can only talk about modern freedom unless we're talking about
No, we
being
don't. No.
Modern
We're
freedom is
talking about
demand to be a worshiper of
Come-
what was that
Wait.
chaos god? The name is escaping me.
which one? You're
The
talking
purple
about
Slanesh. Yeah,
talking about
modern
Slanesh or
freedom is
Zeke?
demand to worship Slanesh.
well, no, that's hedonism.
Hi, Jack.
If
Yeah.
you look at what the player characters are
right?
doing, is they are cutting all societal ties to go out into the wilderness, which again, this is the tier. If you again Exodus, that you're leaving the tyranny of the Pharaoh to go into the wilderness of the desert, and you're going to wander there for 40 years until you can establish something. That's what the players are. The problem is that most of the players never. If you actually look, I said players, I mean characters. If you look at what happens, and when you say that many don't come back, they don't come back because they die. And the real reason most of us don't do that is because we don't want to die. That's
Who wants to play Oregon Trail? That's freedom with death.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
You know what? If you really want to be free,
I think for me, freedom
we all know my
is
opinion. on
is
that.
being able to make your own choices, as dumb as they may be, without other people telling you can't make those decisions.
Oh, I agree.
well, for me, the freedom is to go beyond the reach of I want to say society, which is why if we're talking about science fiction, that's what it is to see what's out there. It's the untamed wilderness, and it's going to probably kill you, to be fair. That's the whole reason we play these games. If there's no danger of death, then why are we playing?
Right.
I agree.
You taking off, Mobius?
Taco
Yeah.
Bell and pizza.
Taco Bell is not freedom.
Lies.
Taco Bell is a
Bell!
Hey,
program.
wait a minute. Why?
Taco Bell or death.
Kind of hefty effing feed.
You know what this tells me on just how culturally poor Canada is. If you don't have good tacos, I mean, why would you ever go there?
Well, it's not about good Taco Bells. It's about winning the franchise war.
You know what? There's only one taco place, and it's called Taco John's. Because when I eat Taco John's, I
You're
don't.
getting tasered
kill
by
me.
hitting you in the back of the head, bro. Do not
Yeah.
speak ill or about Taco Bell and do not speak positively about competition.
Taco
This is-
John. was
don't-
amazing.
I've never
said,
had a bad
don't let me
taco.
s-
They're all pretty good.
Where-
I work at a
no.
Mexican restaurant. You
I,
can
I,
have a
I,
bad
think I
taco.
live as close as you can, being in California, and trust me, there are some really bad ones. And if I want a good one,
He lives as close as you can. He moved one into his house and started breeding with it.
if I want bad tacos, trust me, they're just a kitchen away. If I
Oh.
want good tacos,
Oh,
they're also a kitchen away.
You know
oh.
what? It just depends on how much he's aggravated his wife that day. Depends on. Oh, I'm sorry, your mother-in-law. It depends on whether his mother-in-law
No,
is
I
making
make the
him
best
or.
tacos in the house. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm
Um,
sorry. No. Here's the way I look at it. If the tacos aren't made with lard, they're not good.
I mean, I don't actually hate to say this.
Wrong. If
The best
tacos aren't made,
the best taco I ever had came out of a food truck down in Nashville, Tennessee.
wrong.
There's nothing wrong with
Gunshot
that.
tacos
Best
are the
tacos
best.
are made with bean paste meat substitute.
I'm sorry. You know, I just like I like it where I can identify the meat. I can
Yeah,
identify the
I can
spices.
identify the meat
And,
too.
and wait a minute. The tortillas have to be translucent because they're made with lard. That's
You know, there's a Simpsons episode where Homer is trying to basically become obese, and Dr.
Oh.
Nick says, "If you can see through it, you can eat it." So when you say
It's your,
tacos,
it's your window to obesity.
yeah,
I remember that.
I don't know. I got lamb in the refrigerator.
Window to
I've been trying to
weight
figure what to do with it. I might have to go make lamb tacos now.
Oh, you know what? That sounds so good, especially
Wow.
if you get some goat cheese.
I mean, when I say lamb
I got
tacos, I
5
mean
pounds
a
of goat
gyro.
cheese.
Wait,
Oh.
is a taco a sandwich?
I had nachos before the show.
No,
with
because
goat
it's
cheese.
not made with bread.
The gyro is closer to a
Gyro.
torta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's think of it as a gyros. That would probably be better.
I would love to. I actually don't have. the
Actually, you know what?
ingredients.
Not gyroses aren't that good. Get the shawarma. The shawarmas are so much better than gyros.
You just need lamb, tzatziki, onion, and a wrap.
No, you need a. You
It
need
can't be a wrap. It has to be a
But you said
pita.
rat.
Yeah. Yes, a rack. Everything is better with a good rack.
No,
Wrap
rat.
the
R-A-T.
lamb.
I thought you said rat.
Oh,
I was like,
well,
Hey, Justin, are you single?
no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait. Does
That's-
she know that you two are dating?
Yes, she lives here.
Does she have a pulse and the normal body
Yes.
temperature?
Does she live in
Is
America?
Is she a tat?
Does she live in America?
No. On both those.
You know, 20 years ago, when somebody said, "Yeah, I have a girlfriend in Canada," we would all say bullshit. Now, if you say you have a girlfriend that lives in Canada, oh, that's cool. When are you guys go? You know, it's an actual thing now.
Yeah.
Wait. When you hug your girlfriend, does the sound of air blowing out is a thing?
No.
Hey,
All
wait. We all know Canada doesn't really exist. There's so,
I don't think Colorado. I don't think California exists.
Yeah.
No, it does. Don't worry, it's going to sink into the ocean really soon.
I wish.
actually,
well,
I think
no,
if
it's
all-
not. It's going to be renamed Azatlan.
No, wait a minute. All that has to happen is if you just get enough earthquakes, it's going to just move around enough that it's now part of Russia. You know, that's-
Russia. Hey,
The only part of
What's your problem with
California
Azatlan,
I really
huh?
want to check out is the vineyards in North Colorado. And I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want to drink.
Alcoholism, respectable.
That's not alcoholism. That's just having good taste in wine.
Alcoholism.
It can be both.
Yeah.
wait a
Mostly
minute.
alcoholism.
Wait a minute. What did Peter say when he went over and had communion? Wow, this guy must have been drunk all the time.
I used to actually I still make this joke. I go to church every Sunday. I'm a Catholic-ish. And I keep arguing with whoever will argue with me that we need to change out the red wine for whiskey. So when you hit that burn in the back of your throat, that's really Jesus' love.
A bad whiskey, though, not a good one.
Oh yeah, it has to be American.
I don't know. I hear God's chosen people.
There's
are
some pretty
making it
smooth
now.
bourbon.
Bourbon is not whiskey. Bourbon is bourbon.
It's a type of whiskey.
No. Bourbon is bourbon. It's what happens when Americans try to make whiskey.
Here's a fun one.
Yeah, I'm being an ass. I don't know you. I'm sorry.
Wait a minute. Isn't vodka allowed under Islam because it's not made with grapes? Or anything?
That was the other thing that made 13th Warrior great. We found out that they could drink mead because it's made from honey.
Yep.
I think that's where people are becoming too literal rather than the intent overall.
Actually, Father Gray actually does enjoy me. He really does. I swear I can hear him laughing when he does when I go through confession.
No, yes.
Today I thought bad thoughts about tacos.
Father, I have sinned. Household son. Household, my child. I've been mildly disappointed every time I see Beetlejuice. I don't get the same hand-on experience that Lori, whatever her last name is, gave to her date.
You were just wrong.
Hey,
He's just envious because
she's hot. I might disagree with everything about her, but I'll get her. She's hot.
See. The real reason, and I'm going to get one little political, and I know that Chad's going to wrap this up at some point. The real reason that Connell doesn't like Trump is because he's a teetotaler. Now go. And he doesn't smoke. And he doesn't smoke. That's it. No.
I don't know if you've been with us the whole show, but we're just getting ready to end. I actually went almost 15 minutes late.
Yep.
Sorry about that, buddy.
It's my fault.
Rewind if you didn't catch the beginning, because that was worth watching. I think it was.
We were on topic.
Lies.
And it was very nice to have everybody here. If you guys are not subbed to the Dungeon Minister, go and do so. His show is fantastic. I since I discovered it, it's easily in my top favorite channels out there. Just because check it out. Yeah, if you've got kids and you want them to enjoy the hobby, like my son and I do, it'll be right up your alley. No worries, Ironcaster. We'll be here again next week, and one of these times you gotta jump in the chat or in the show with us.
I promised me and Justin would behave.
That will not happen.
You're right.
Lies. I know you guys way too well.
I behave. I'm a perfect gentleman.
So, nerds, you got anything coming up on your show, your channel anytime soon?
Oh, I thought you meant that as a broad statement.
Oh.
So the problem with starting my channel is I can only do one thing at a time. And once I start making videos, that means I will never finish the Dark Elf army I'm painting. So I have to finish this first and then start making content.
Okay.
Why don't you make content of painting your Dark Elf army?
Because it still requires some video, I guess.
I don't know, because the woke community will get on her for painting white characters black.
Hey! It was okay under community until recently.
It's the other way around.
Well, Ironcaster, the invite is open. I've heard you over on T-shirted, right? Many a time. I need to go over and hang out with T-shirt. It's been too long. Tell him I say hi for me, will you? I got some Arduino news for him. But yes, nerds, paint while you chat, or just keep us posted when you get something up. Or if you guys aren't already subscribed, go out there, hit up her channel.
What is the channel?
No, you got just like her name.
Okay.
Maybe pull the chat down so the audience can see everybody's name.
Yep.
Justin, I already know the answer, right?
Yeah. I'll be on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12:30 on Hungar's channel. Seeing that nothing goes upside down. I might be over with Mr. Max tomorrow evening if he does a random stream. Here next week. If Connell ever gets off his ass and decides to set up that show we're supposed to be doing sometime.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometime around September of 2025.
Actually, it'll be a whole lot sooner than that.
Oh, September 2024?
I was thinking September 3rd around my birthday. No, it'll be soon.
Okay. And I've got shirts on my t-shirt store.
God, I can only imagine.
You can see the name is the same as mine over on TeePublic. You got anything coming up, Shadow?
Excuse me. Yeah, actually, more Ravenloft reviews and some more crafting stuff and some painting videos. We need to get back to that, our roots, so to speak, before the little guy, ships off to wherever it is he's gonna in a couple of years. So I want to, get him in front of the camera as much as possible, so that way when he's, like in the service or at college, and I find out who his friends are, I can send them links to the channel.
Sorry.
Wait a minute, you only do that. You only do that when he gets a girlfriend, not to his friends, to his girlfriend. That's what you're supposed to do.
And wait until he's in college. You don't want him going into the service. Not now, man.
Oh, he's probably gonna go college, then service, and that'll put it
a nice Christian school, so you can learn about the rainbow flag.
Well, he's planning on going to a Catholic college, but he's going to need help with a scholarship, and they only give out the JROTC only gives out like 22 scholarships per state, but he's kind of like on the short list already if he keeps doing what he's been doing.
California, he's at least one of the 20.
Here's what it comes down to is you can always send him to Colorado for one of the military academies.
I actually love my son, so no. But he's running like a 4.6 GPA right now. He's Mexican. So he puts that on his resume. He's a shoe-in.
Yeah,
I wish that were true, except Hispanic's really high. That's
he's got to use one of the offbeat terms. Like
I've got to say this much. Poor Justin here has to take some time off to let his hand heal from the burn in the bar fight. So
very interesting. This is a part of the backstory I'm not aware of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
the burn in the bar fight.
That's right.
So I guess I'll go next.
Yeah. You're not doing nothing.
Yeah, I am. I'm doing a couple things. Tomorrow, me and a group of people, Shadow, Mark, Bo, Omanow. Is that everybody?
Yeah.
There's 5 people. There's 5 people.
Yeah, it feels like it's everybody. We are doing the 1990 movie horror supernatural. I don't know if it truly is a supernatural after watching it again. Flatliners.
Flatliners? Yeah. No, it's supernatural. Those are like ghost stories in there, man.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, we'll be talking about that tomorrow. Then on Monday at 12, because I've been summoned by the one and only Hunger, Sarbarian. I can't talk tonight.
Yeah.
I will be hanging out with him and Justin over his channel as we're talking about things. And I'm thinking next week. I don't know what day next week. Me and Justin will be talking about adventures in Kitty Cat Land.
Oh, next week?
I'm hoping so.
Yeah, you've rescheduled a whole year.
A magical kitty save the day.
Yes, you start out as a prisoner or a slave. and we'll have a Mr. Roger type character walking us through it, and we're going to view how he plays Adventures in Kitty Catland.
Yeah. We're going to talk about. I've never actually watched him do that. Okay. That's a Shauna reference, by the way.
All right, gents, I got to hit the road. As you guys know, I'm running over to the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen. I'll be there for probably the rest of the
That's
evening.
not true. You're going to the bathroom.
No, I'm actually good. I didn't actually drink a crap ton of water tonight, so
Yeah,
I'm good. I will be taking a banana cream pie break because
Whoa!
he just sliced it up, and so it's on the table, and I'm
Banana
a
cream.
fan.
He better get it before him so that that weird crust on it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's wrong.
Yeah. Banana cream pie.
Man.
Is that what you old timers call it now?
No, I call it banana cream pie. Marie Callender's.
Okay.
On out, and I'm gonna have some pie. You guys have yourself a great weekend. Thank you all for showing up tonight. This was a really good show. We did veer off toward the end, but I kind of knew that. We got the good stuff out. Connell, if you didn't catch the whole show, make sure you go back.
I will definitely watch it. I like to hear you guys' opinions. Always have.
Yeah, it's only banana cream pie because he doesn't have the stamina for apple anymore. Oh, right over his head.
Wow. I'm just waiting.
Many more much. Stay tuned because I got some stuff for you too as well. Mac, I want to have a conversation with you later on as well. Ironcaster, like I said, the invite's always open. GM Fritz, thanks for dropping by. Father Aaron, thank you for coming in. I hope we get to see more of you. Everybody else, if I missed somebody, sorry.
I think he had to drop out to repent for being on a stream with me.
Could be.
We all do. This is why Kyle goes to confession twice a week.
I'm gonna go with what he said, and power issues. On his device. He's a great guy. Wish I could say the same for all of you. I'm kidding, of course.
No, he's being honest about Justin.
Yeah. I'm the most wholesome and moral person anyone around
Justin,
here knows.
Justin, how long have I known you? How long have you?
Like a year and a half.
We've been friends and hanging out.
A while now.
Okay.
Year and a half. So.
Do you think I know what to expect from you?
Yeah.
It's
not the joke. It's not the joke, bro. The joke is that I deny it. I'm the best one of you.
All right, folks.
Are you blonde?
Repeat after me.
No, none of us are tryhard posers.
Wait. We gotta turn that up.
Poser.
You're not turning it up. It's only at like 75% there, Connell.
Oh.
There you go. Come on, all the way up. This is like to 11.
Well, I'm in a panel with a bunch of guys and a young lady. It's not getting all the way up, no matter what you all say.
Oh.
I'm getting a phone call. I'll see you guys later, bro.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Have a great weekend, and as always,
wow.
Happy trails.
I'm just surprised Nerds actually hasn't put us in our place.